Hello there and welcome to News Tonight here on UBC TV this Tuesday, the 19th day of March 2024. And these are our top stories. In our top stories tonight, President Yoweri Museveni drums support for NRM candidate Janet Adongo-Elau as campaigns close in Dokolo. A new UNDP report shows the world is divided along development lines. Authorities in South Sudan issue more warnings on the excessive heat in the country. And in sports, African champion Charles Kajimu returns home. Hello there and welcome once again. We're coming to you live online and on air from Broadcast House here on Nile Avenue. On sign language, it is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Rukidi Kiijanangoma. Now, President Yoweri Museveni has drummed support for the NRM candidate in Dokolo woman MP by-election, Janet Adongo-Elau. He highlighted NRM achievements like peace and security, fighting 13 killer diseases, increased and improved education and health, which he says should be the reason people should support NRM candidate. Philip Aguta is in Dokolo and now reports.
President Museveni, who is the chairman of the NRM party, arrived in Dokolo at midday to drum support for the NRM candidate in Dokolo woman MP by-election, Janet Adongo-Elau. He addressed two separate rallies. The first rally was held at Atabu Primary School in Dokolo North constituency. Museveni highlighted some of the achievements of the NRM government. In his speech, he singled out road infrastructure and health as the NRM government major strength, in which 13 killer diseases have been dealt with.
The road from Soroti to Rira was Maram. We have tarmacked it, and now we are doing it again. And we have got plans for the other roads. That Dokoro, Amorata, Namasari, that's what we are planning to tarmac.
However, he was quick at identifying corruption as the leading factor for absence of drugs in many of the health facilities in the country.
Like vaccination. The diseases which are here, where are they now? Where is polio?
Lack of electricity connection is another impediment affecting Dokolo, where only 2 sub-counties out of 5 are connected to national grid. However, he directed officials from the Ministry of Energy to address the matter with immediate effect to spur economic growth in Dokolo.
The RDC, or the Minister of Northern Uganda, should call the people of the electricity to give clear answers why. Because we have got surplus power for which we are paying even when we are not using. But people in Bata don't have electricity. What is the problem?
Museveni also applauded the independent candidate Dr. Lalam Grace, who stepped down in favor of the NRM candidate. Philip Aguta for UBC News in Dokolo.
Thanks, Philip, and we'll stay in Dokolo momentarily, where campaigns to replace the former woman member of parliament for Dokolo district, the late Cecilia Ogwal, today came to a close at 5 p.m. Although candidates continue to hunt for votes even after the recommended time by the Electoral Commission, 7 candidates were nominated for the race, but 1 independent candidate stepped down in favor of the NRM candidate. Here is our Northern Region correspondent, Eddie Olwa, with more on that story.
Today morning at Barayom village, Okwandul sub-county residents could be seen seated attentively listening to the FDC candidate make her final points as campaigns come to an end. After 20 minutes, the team quickly left the venue for Adok sub-county. Adok is the birthplace of late Cecilia Ogwal, whose daughter is also in the race. Rosemary Alwach received warm welcome in Adok.
That you flag off the procession.
At Kwanagwata, a huge crowd was mobilized to accompany the candidate to the venue. In their convoy, FDC traversed the district canvassing for votes.
My daughter has been shown love throughout Dolo.
Patrick Amuriato Boy says they are ready for the election come Thursday this week.
She was given 70%. We want that percentage on Thursday when you go to vote.
Other MPs who joined the FDC campaign team today included Gilbert Olanya, Geoffrey Ekanya, Ellen Nacham, Junior Okot Bitek and Odonga Otto. UPC, on the other hand, began their last rally from Teakere in Agwata sub-county through Dokulo South, then back to Dokulo North. A few minutes to 5 p.m., UPC arrived at Atabo Primary School, the same venue where President Museveni campaigned earlier in the day.
And putting raid in its place. In this particular case, they put the president in our venue, and we had to now delay our coming here. So we're obviously some hours behind schedule. I have received a lot of cards along the way, a lot of yellow cards along the way, and we've been giving out some t-shirts. So in this particular case, there are 3 brand new t-shirts, which we have exchanged for the red t-shirt, and the other people were willing to come to UPC, and we're going to continue.
Voting for the Dokulo District Woman Member of Parliament is on Thursday this week. Eddie Olwa, UBC News.
Thanks, Olwa, for that story there. Now, a new report by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, is painting a stark picture of a world increasingly divided along development lines, with wealthier nations surging ahead while many poorer countries struggle to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic setbacks. The report, titled Breaking the Gridlock, Reimagining Cooperation in a Polarized World, highlights that while the Global Human Development Index is projected to reach record highs, the gains are far from even amongst countries. UBC's Samuel Seneno sat down with the UN resident representative to Uganda and dissected the report's relevance to Uganda's development journey.
The Human Development Report by the UNDP is a crucial resource for understanding a nation's progress beyond just economic factors. It sheds light on health, education, and overall well-being, offering a more comprehensive picture.
One of the reasons behind the Human Development Report was to push for political action towards ensuring that states put people at the center of their development.
This report highlighted that half of the world's poorest countries haven't recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic's blows.
All of those gains we made in 1-2 decades of pushing development to be people-focused has been eroded somewhat. And there is a projection that from 2023, 2024, we're going to kind of pick up tempo again. But then it was noted that that tempo will not be even. There'll be countries that have recovered and will be continuing to march on in its development. and there'll be countries that haven't done that. It is that unevenness, that inequality, that is the problem with the collective global development process. And more so in a very polarized world now.
For Uganda, the report offers a mixed bag. The country has transitioned from low human development category to medium human development. The report highlights that between 1990 and 2002, Uganda's HDI value moved from 0.329 to 0.550, an increase of 67.2%. Between 1990 and 2002, Uganda's life expectancy at birth improved by 17.2 years, expected years of schooling improved by 5.8 years, and mean years of schooling improved by 3.1 years. By 2023-2024, Uganda's HDI of 0.550 is above average of 0.549 for sub-Saharan African countries and 0.542 for least developed countries. The report emphasizes reimagining international cooperation as one of the ways to stimulate growth and development.
Uganda is positioned as the chair of G77 plus China and NAM to drive a development discourse on international cooperation that is embracing of everybody, and particularly because it has experience of not being at the center of the table. Now it's at the center of the table. It can push an agenda that makes sure that there's inclusiveness in international cooperation.
She also argues that fostering increased trade, investment and economic diversification within Africa can address some of the challenges faced by developing countries.
As a continent, I mean, this is 2024. It beggars belief that we haven't understood the importance of, first of all, harnessing the power that lies within us trading with each other. But as I say, better late than never. So the AfCFTA is designed to help us trade with ourselves, remove obstacles.
The report emphasizes the need for a new generation of global public good initiatives like climate change mitigation, equitable access to digital technologies, and robust financial mechanisms to support development. Samuel Sendono, UBC News.
A State Minister for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Amos Lugolobi, has launched a demographic dividend think tank to leverage the potential of large youthful population, catalyze social development and reduce inequality and poverty. Mr. Lugolobi says that there is need for a high-level coordinated framework that will increase enthusiasm about the prospects of advocating for robust policy actions and increase productivity and economic development. This was at the National Population Council here in Kampala.
Here, to actually launch what we have called the demographic dividend think tank. It's a composition of members who have been drawn from different organizations, from different experiences, experts of sorts in certain areas, to try and look at Uganda's population, which is largely a young population. It is noted that about 76% of Uganda's population are below the age of 30. And that underscores a very important point, that it's a very useful population, not only youthful, but a highly productive population. Because they are young, they are strong, they still have so many years to live. But the point is, while you have a young population, how well have you prepared that population to get the country on its best footing? You know, you need to make sure that that population is productive. That when you compare that population to the population of other countries, your population is doing better. If you don't harness this population, if you do nothing about that population, the message you are sending out there is that this population will become a problem to the country. It will not be a dividend. Here in Uganda we talk about universal primary education and universal secondary education. But what the quality of the education that they are getting, you know, and once they have finished secondary, where do they go next? Now, what about those that have remained behind? What do we do about them? So this team will be answering such questions. How do we raise their level of productivity in the country?
That was Minister Lugolobi ending that story there. To South Sudan now, where authorities in South Sudan have issued more warnings on the excessive heat in the country. The warning follows a plane crash incident at Yida airstrip that was caused by excessive heat that left 2 passengers injured. Susan Nawonga reports.
Tuesday morning, a cargo plane crash incident was registered at Yida airstrip due to weather issues. The incident was confirmed by the director of Juba Airport, Kuol.
International Airport this morning around 6:18 a.m. Destination Yida, as you said, and on board there was something like 4 crew and 1 military soldier. And the fuel.
According to Kuol, the cargo plane crashed at Yida Airport, but all the 5 passengers on board survived with minor injuries. Officials at Juba Civil Aviation Authority have associated the untimely incident to the mainly excessive heat, causing rise in temperatures to 41 degrees Celsius.
And the 5 people are safe. All of them are safe, but the plane is totally damaged. Because the reason was that for poor visibility in the whole Upper Nile. So now we all cancel flight to Upper Nile region because of poor visibility in that region.
Last month, several warnings were put out on these projected continuous heat waves across the country. As the country approaches the rainy season, these weather patterns led to the closure of schools in South Sudan last week in a directive that was issued by the Minister of Health of South Sudan to encounter the impacts of the excessive heat. The temperatures scores in South Sudan currently range from 38 to 40 degrees Celsius in different locations. Accordingly, the public has been advised against movement in the sun to avoid exposure to heat, which could lead to severe health issues like dehydration and cancer. Meteorological experts have also urged government and the public to plant trees to conserve the environment.
Finance Ministry Permanent Secretary and Secretary to Treasury, Dr. Ramadan Gobi, has failed to account for the 1.4 billion supplementary budget that exited the Treasury as supplementary expenditure in the financial year 2022-2023. Dr. Gobi and his technical staff had appeared before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament to substantiate on the Auditor General's audit queries on the consolidated financial statement of the financial year ended June 2023.
Officials from the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, led by the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to Treasury, Dr. Ramadan Gobi, appeared before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament to answer queries in the Auditor General's report for ended financial year 2022-2023. According to the Auditor General's report for the financial year ended June 30th, 2023, supplementary expenditure of 1.4 trillion shillings excited the consolidated fund without clear areas of expenditure.
You balloon the budget is to create this window where you will have the latitude to operate and fund things that would otherwise would not go through, and you bring them to Parliament as a post-mortem for post-mortem approval. And that is distorting the budget.
Whereas the Public Finance Management Act grants the Ministry of Finance powers to authorize 3% for supplementary expenditure without parliamentary approval, the PSST Ramadan Gobi told that 3% under the Act caters for areas that are difficult to postpone or delay.
I wanted you to appreciate the nature of these activities under 3%. They can't wait. I have revenue, of course, I work with, which Parliament appropriated. And Katonga follows in. The people of Masaka cannot cross. and there is need for a supplementary.
Some MPs were enraged on the criteria for initiating the supplementary budget expenditure in question.
I know of a situation where Minister of Finance became the first person to initiate a supplementary as opposed to the user. I don't know whether you see that as a normal thing.
What informs you that the 3% is supposed to be got from this?
Trend by the finance minister to authorize spending on activities initially rejected by Parliament during the appropriation, using the legal provision of the 3%. For example, there is that allocation of Uganda shillings 271 billion.
The request must be initiated by the user vote. It goes without saying. Whatever the user vote should initiate
Ramadan Gobi, however, took the MPs for a fishing expedition, urging them to differentiate their mandate of appropriation from budget allocation. Gobi was quick to remind the MPs that their mandate is limited to appropriation under the Budget Act.
Parliament took over the powers to budget in the process of appropriation. You come and move money from certain items that the executive deem critical, and you say, no, this one is not critical, you move the money elsewhere.
The report also indicates that the ministry had 10.8 trillion shillings in payables. The chair of the committee, Mwanga Chivombi, said payables have a lot of discrepancies and the errors affect the credibility of their policy statement. I'm Navka Farida and Gloria Gwetabinji in Kampala.
Fred!
Osmosis.
Freddy! Fred Dollar, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the Nile.
I don't have money today.
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Have you packed more with Harbour jelly and Harbour foam? It will protect your skin from skin rashes. Morbid Pack. It is a new improved Morbid Harbour jelly. So soft and smooth. It is a Morbid Harbour jelly.
Tell me, kids, the scent. Any irritations? No more rashes and irritations. Morbid Harbour jelly and Harbour soap is rich in natural herbs for a smooth and glowing skin.
Morbid all day confidence.
Gavumenti ya Uganda wamu n'ekitongole kyayo ekivunaanyizibwa ku bibalo ki Uganda Bureau of Statistics UBOS bategeeza abantu bonna abakwatibwako okuli abakulira abakozi ba gavumenti ku district, bameeya, ababaka ba president, bakalaani, bakansala, basentebe b'ebyalo, abatuuze n'abasuubuzi bonna okukwatagana n'abakozi ba UBOS abatandisedde okweteekerateekera omulimu gw'okubala abantu n'ebyabwe okw'okubaawo ng'ennaku z'omwezi 10 omwezi ogwokutaano 2024 okubala abantu kwakumala ennaku 10 n'ekigendererwa ekyokumanya omuwendo n'ebifo ku tuli bameka, tuliwa, tubeera tutya, tulina ki era wa gye tujja obuweereza. Uganda Bureau of Statistics
The government of Uganda and the Uganda Bureau of Statistics is calling upon all stakeholders such as the chief administrative officers, city mayors, resident city commissioners, city clerks, city and division councillors, wards and LC chairpersons, as well as the residents and business communities to cooperate with the UBOS field teams as we embark on advanced preparations to conduct the National Population and Housing Census on the 10th of May 2024. The census will be a 10-day exercise to obtain statistical data and information that will be used for planning and policy formulation, including information on 1. How many we are, 2. Where we are, 3. How we are living, 4. what we own, and 5, where we access services from. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics has now started listing of households and mapping in the 11 cities of Arua, Fort Portal, Gulu, Hoima, Jinja, Lira, Mbale, Masaka, Mbarara, Soroti, and in the Greater Kampala comprising of Kampala, Wakiso, and Mukono districts. For more information, please call 0755 342 128 or 0773 342 128. This message is brought to you by the Executive Director and Census Commissioner, Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Census 2024. It matters to be counted.
The 7th Uganda Water and Environment Week will take place from the 18th to the 22nd of March 2024 under the theme Rethinking Collective Action and Innovative Solutions to Water, Environment and Climate Change Crisis in Uganda at the Ministry of Water and Environment Headquarters in Luzira, Kampala. As part of the week, key sector international days, that is the World Water Day, International Forestry Day and the World Meteorological Day are commemorated. Various events such as panel discussions, site events, paper presentations and exhibitions will be organized for the sustainable ecosystem and the development of Uganda by different stakeholders on water and environment issues. Uganda Water and Environment Week 2024 is organized by the Ministry of Water and Environment through the Water Resources Institute with support from development partners. The week will be opened by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Thomas Tayewa. For more information, visit our website at www.mwe.go.ug.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Now, ICT technocrats from the 7 East African Community member states are in Kampala to strategize on possible ways of developing framework that fosters digital harmonization. The Principal Information Technology Officer, Engineer Murenzi, says the region must open doors to a single digital space where communication via data usage and voice calling across the borders flows unhindered. We have more in this story.
This digital acceleration agenda for the East African community targets over 350 million ES population into a single communication space. Despite efforts to remove trade barriers within the ESC region, the differing communication regulations continue to stampede seamless flow of services.
But the major challenges that we have been facing was that people are, yes, moving freely, but their services are not moving. So acceleration of the regional integration through digital is going to cause a serious impact. Today we are 8 countries, people are moving left and right, trade is increasing, so it's better that we also focus on how can we use technology to accelerate the integration of the regional agenda. And here we are now focusing on the free roaming, whereby you are now able, at the end of this discussion, we are now looking at how are we going to harmonize the data roaming. Because, you know, most of these days people have to chat, people want to communicate back home using WhatsApp, using other social medias. But that means now we have to see what are the regulations. How can we enable communication between our partner states, people moving from one country to another, to have the quality services through communication.
The initiative puts in place structures that will enable one to stay connected to the internet and use data-driven applications unimpeded. So there are discussions on internet penetration and expanding broadband infrastructure for the East African region.
I would really like to appreciate the East African community efforts to harmonize the digital divide within the region. In the Regional Communication Infrastructure Program, we have implemented over 21,000 kilometers of fiber, and the upcoming project of Uganda Digital Acceleration Project, we are looking forward to implement even bigger. So we shall have a very big internet coverage of the country. But currently, most of the MDAs, the ministries, departments and agencies are onboarded onto the NITA-U network. The biggest portion of adults in Uganda right now are able to use smart devices, which is the biggest population now. The youths, if you look at social media utilization in Uganda right now, it is very, very high. Why? Because there is internet accessibility. We are trying to have a flat cost all through the East African region, because if we can easily be identified from the region, then why can't we trade easily all around the region, and this is through the digital implementations that we're trying to put in place.
As discussions on internet penetration and expanding broadband infrastructure continue to shape Uganda and the broader East African region, the journey towards digital inclusivity gains momentum. Crispus Arinitwe, UBC News.
Thanks, Crispus Arinitwe, for that story there. Now, Minister of Education and Sports is set to enforce compulsory universal primary education commencing next year. Now, this comes after the government allocated over 300 billion shillings capitation grant for primary learners to enable implementation. Minister Muyingo was at the media center ahead of the International Day of Education, slated for the 21st at Kololo Independence Grounds.
The Minister of Education is set to implement a number of programs to empower students with skills and knowledge necessary for success in the 21st century.
This milestone serves as a testament to our unwavering commitment to ensuring that every child has an opportunity to fulfill their potential through education. The total budget for education and sports in Uganda stands at 666 billion Uganda shillings, inclusive of external financing.
Next year's programs include compulsory universal primary education with a grant of 300 billion for primary learners. The O-level learners capitation grant stands at 175,000 and 270,000 for universal post-ordinary level education training, UPOLET, respectively.
These statistics underscore our dedication to providing adequate resources for education. As government, we are proud and to announce that primary schools, many of our primary schools will be rehabilitated in the coming financial year. Over 120 billion has been put aside to rehabilitate our primary schools, which is a significant step towards improving access. And of course, we are also going to construct 247 seed schools.
Currently, there are 37,486 secondary teachers. Out of these, 1,668 deployed from January this year to date. The increase, especially through UPA, has boosted enrollment rates for children from low-income families. Minister for Education and Sports, John Chrysostom Muyingo, was addressing the press at the Uganda Media Center ahead of the International Day of Education, set for 21st March. The event on the theme, Learning for Lasting Peace, will take place at Kololo Independence Grounds, where President Museveni will preside.
In addition to celebrating the International Day of Education, we will commemorate 27 years of universal primary education.
Prior to the event, a number of exhibitions will take place, showcasing remarkable strides made in the sector. Mutonyi Hilda, UBC.
Now, leadership of the National Unity Platform Party has engaged new members of Parliament to familiarize efforts to fight against corruption and abuse of office. The meeting was chaired by the NUP Party President Robert Kyagulanyi and attended by a section of MPs. After the long meeting, the Secretary General of NUP, Lewis Rubongoya, addressed the media, admitting that some members of Parliament shunned the meeting deliberately. Allegations of corruption and abuse of office hit some members of the National Unity Platform Party, including the NUP Party Deputy President of Uganda Region, Matthias Impuga, who has been cited to have received illicit money under the guise of service reward. This has for several weeks caused controversy among the party members and the wider public.
Nonga batano betutafunye apologies zaabwe naye abo tugenda tumanyi bulungi nnyo era bagenda kunyonyola lwaki badde tebaliwo oba ki. So teri kyamaanyi tubadde twogera ku nsonga ez'ekibiina president n'aba briefinga ku activities ez'enjawulo zetugenda kukola mu nnaku ezijja mujja kulaba President was addressing members about different matters, and I can say that issue also came up and he addressed it. But there's nothing the president said to the members of parliament which is different from what he has been saying publicly. You know, every day he has talked about what we are dealing with and the different issues. And of course, one of the other critical issues we discussed was for our members of parliament to take a firm stand against corruption, against misuse of public funds. You see what has been going on in parliament. And he was charging all these people because for us as NUP, we are known to be pro-people, we are known to stand on the values of the people. So that was one of the critical issues.
NOP Secretary General Rubongoya ending that story there. Now let's go to the courts of law, where High Court Criminal Division before Judge Erobo is still proceeding with hearing of the case where Francis Onebe is accused of murdering his wife Immaculate Onebe. Prosecution number 9 was Charles Okello, brother to the deceased Mary Immaculate Onebe, and the then General Manager, Pentagon Security Limited. We have more in this story.
That he got to know about the disappearance of sister Mary Immaculate Onebe through a phone call from the deceased's husband Francis Onebe. Okello added that upon reaching Onebe's home, they kept looking for Immaculate's whereabouts with Onebe around the house, but all was in vain.
So when I entered the house, they were repairing the cushions of the chairs, replacing. There were also some paintings. They were getting ready to paint within the sitting room.
Later, the accusatory court Bonnet told them that Immaculate Onebe was dropped home by a boda around 7 p.m. after buying some items at the supermarket. Although they went ahead with a search, with announcements on the mainstream media and the community radios, nothing much was found, thus reporting the case to Kabalagala police station.
We left home and then crossed the road towards the swampy part of Munyonyo. So as we went searching around the village, almost up to 2, is when Onebe joined us. So after that, the search, we got nothing.
Footage at Outreach Ministries in Munyonyo. However, before viewing the footage, the security guard Oriokot Bone ran away from Onebe's home. The alleged CCTV video was displayed in court.
To speak hotel.
Okello also told court that upon searching for the deceased Immaculate Onebe, the husband Francis Onebe tried to come up with diversion information. Witness Okello also explained to court the reason why he had to follow up on the disappearance of the deceased. However, during the explanation, he shed tears.
My lord, like any other person who has ever lost a relative, and you want justice to prevail, my role was to make sure that justice prevails and the offenders are brought to the book. The whole family loved the sister. Even today, my lord, I cannot imagine who lost our sister. I'm sorry for that.
Judge Michael Ruba adjourned the case to tomorrow, 20th March 2024, for further hearing. Meanwhile, High Court Criminal Division in Kampala before Judge Isaac Muwata has set 3rd April 2024 to hear the bail application of Mole Katanga, widow to businessman Henry Katanga. Mole Katanga was arrested and charged with the murder of her husband Henry Katanga, the incident that happened at their home on Chwatu Road in Mbuya, Nakawa Division. Judge Isaac Muwata has also set 2nd July 2024 to kickstart with a full hearing of the case, where Mole Katanga is facing these charges, together with her daughters Nkwanzi Katanga and Kakwanza Patricia, Amanyire George Shambaboy, and Otai Charise medical practitioner, Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
To Kasese district now, where people staying along the border with the Democratic Republic of the Congo in Kasese district have been advised to increase their vigilance to tighten security. State Minister for ICT and National Cadence, Godfrey Kabyanga, made the remarks at Kime Resort in Impondwe Lubiriha Town Council in Kasese District. We have more in this story.
The UPDF spokesperson talked about infiltration of ADF. For us who stay on the border are vigilant, very vigilant now. We are not going to sleep on our work as citizens. Security is not entirely for the security organs, the army, police, and others. It's not entirely their responsibility. We should also, as civilians, as people, ordinary people, be cautious about our environment as far as security is concerned, and more especially we who live at the border with DR Congo, because we are already aware that ADF is there, it's operating there. UPDF has weakened their strength in DRC. UPDF has really hit ADF thoroughly well, and the ADF strength has thoroughly weakened.
Now, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba Mugalu, has urged Christians to grow 1 million trees on selected church land and others on their individual land to restore the ecosystem. He was addressing a press conference at Namirembe Diocesan headquarters.
Uganda is currently experiencing extreme heat due to climate change and its effect, which is a threat to the humanity and everything God created. This is largely driven by human activities such as deforestation, disruption of swamps for settlement, thus leading to climate change.
Therefore, focused more than ever, coming together to reflect on our relationship with the environment and working on taking meaningful action towards its preservation. It is time to rethink our commitment to stewardship, responsibility, and conservation of Mother or planet Earth, which sustains our lives.
The Archbishop Church of Uganda, Dr. Samuel Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, wants Christians to plant 1 million trees on selected church land on the theme celebrating environmental stewardship.
Growing 1 million trees on selected church land and engaging church congregants to grow trees to their individual land to restore the ecosystem.
Through combined efforts, Church of Uganda will fight climate change,
adopting sustainable climate-smart practices in our institutions, such as reducing energy consumption, minimizing waste, and implementing eco-friendly initiatives like reducing paper print.
Reverend Agaba Andrew mentioned the activities of Church of Uganda, which will last for 5 days.
We'll be having different activities like public lectures with our universities. We shall be having tree planting activities in different parts of the country. And Your Grace, we want to upload Madi and West Nile. They have done well. They have done cleaning activities. They have planted trees.
Deborah Namamonde, Mike Bakabulindi, UBC News.
We'll take yet another short break and return with the latest in business.
Fred!
Osmosis.
Freddy! Fred Dollar, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the
Osmosis.
the Nile.
I don't have money today.
Just take a polite loan of 200K to stock my shop. the signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Are you planning or in the process of traveling abroad for work? Using irregular channels to find and travel for work abroad often seems cheaper and faster, but you risk being trafficked, mistreated, or forced to do work you did not agree to. Using proper channels is safer, offers more protection, and better access to support services when problems arise. Do not be deceived. Choose the proper channels. Always verify all information before traveling abroad for work by contacting the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, your local district labour office or DSOS office. You can also visit EEMIS website on eemis.mglsd.go.ug. This message is brought to you by the International Labour Organization with support from the Government of Switzerland.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
Welcome back. Let's have a look now at the latest in business. The Chief Executive Officer was Zalendo Savings and Credit Cooperative Society, Colonel Fred Onata, has tipped members to emphasize on buying more shares and increase on share capital, which enables building financial capacity. Take a watch.
Wazalendo Savings and Credit Cooperative Society started a few years ago, but is one of the most renowned savings schemes in the country. So when any of its members, and in this case the Chief Executive Officer, speaks, anyone passionate about SACCOs must listen. He spoke about how savings and credit cooperative societies need to work internally to generate money rather than borrowing to lend members. He was officiating the Chamuhunga People's SACCO General Meeting at Chamuhunga Parish Main Hall in Bushenyi.
It's a very good SACCO. Their books are okay, but there are three areas that they need to emphasize. Number one is building the capacity through constant buying of shares. Number two is growing the savings, and then putting back from the profits that they make every year so that they build the internal capacity to be able to serve their members and reduce dependency on borrowing.
Chamuhunga People's Savings and Credit Cooperative Society has grown by leaps and bounds to the 2 billion shillings mark and diligently serves Ankole and Kigezi.
Without savings, we cannot really do much. We shall always wander around looking for monies, which of course at the end of it all reduces your profit, your net take home on your dividends.
We now made over 2 billion in net profits. But if we are not paying part of the profits in dividends that we are turning to our funders, we would have made maybe about 4 billion. So I want to call upon people to improve savings, buy more shares, such that we build our own share capital base, such that we can render out to our members at a low interest rate.
And moving further afield, we go to neighboring South Sudan, where the government of South Sudan is yet to come up with the elections roadmap for the first ever general elections expected to take place in December 2024. Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ramadan Mohammed Abdallah, says the government is in the harmonization process to ensure a smooth process. Susan Nawonga was in Juba recently and brought us this report.
At the end of this year, we are planning that a general election will be conducted in the Republic of South Sudan. And for them as citizens...
In December 2024, South Sudan is probable to conduct its first general elections according to the 2018 revitalized peace agreement on the resolution of conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. The government had to make some fulfillments before the general elections in anticipation.
When are we going to make registration? When are we going to, make the ballot box, ballot papers, cards, and whatever? This purely subject to the agreement of the political parties, And once that is determined, then it will immediately come down. There is now a task force.
These, among others, included ensuring a peaceful environment, drafting a new permanent constitution at least 24 months earlier, and fast-tracking preparations for the general elections. The permanent constitution is to act as a legal framework to support the general elections, but also to aid in establishment of the institutions for governance.
And we collaborated with UN agencies to come up with a model, a good way, a comprehensive way to support the electoral process.
The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Internal Cooperation, Ramadan Mohammed Abdallah, says the government of South Sudan is yet to finalize the requirements to have elections take place smoothly.
That repatriation of the IDPs within the country and the refugees outside of the country is part of the implementation of the peace agreement. But actually there were some problems in terms of resources, because we are not talking about hundreds, we are talking about thousands of people.
He says government is trying to see how best their people in the internally displaced camps and those in refugee camps can be resettled at their will before the general elections.
Within the country, there is plans and programs, and our Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, they are the one actually in charge of that, but they have issues when it's come to funding. But the good number of people, actually, they managed to return back home, and they went back and they were reintegrated into the society. But we are still hoping that by the end of the year, because we want a big number of people to participate in general election, we want all South Sudanese to come back home. But what we are lacking, and we want you also to help in that regard, let's advocate for the international community to help government of South Sudan in repatriation of our refugees outside of the country to come back home.
Nonetheless, the government of South Sudan is expected to first engage with the 2018 participating parties in the revitalized peace agreement to harmonize on the views for elections, the roadmap to peaceful and democratic governance, to end the transitional period on the resolution of conflict in South Sudan, signed in August 2022, agreed to the extension of the transitional period by 24 months from February 2023 to February 2025. Susan Nawonga, reporting for ABC TV in Juba.
Sports news now, and Uganda's African Games individual time trial cycling gold medalist Charles Kajimu has returned home. Our reporter John Barnes sent him camped at Entebbe International Airport and has the details of this and also other happenings in Ghana, where Team Uganda continues to impress.
A handful of cycling enthusiasts braved the night to welcome African Games individual time trial gold medalist Charles Kajimu. Kajimu stormed to African success on Friday with a world-class performance that he finished in 45 minutes, 32 seconds and 58 microseconds, which was just a few microseconds off second-place South African Gilon Giari, who finished in 45 minutes, 32 seconds and 69 microseconds.
it wasn't an easy thing. It was really challenging to do such races in such weather and environment in Ghana. But yeah, luckily we managed to conquer the challenge, just everything that came our way, and finally we managed to win. So we are really happy to be home, and yeah, we are really happy to be back home with gold this time.
Kajimu at Entebbe International Airport was flanked by teammates Lawrence Lorot and Paul Lomuria.
I think the experience was good. The racing was really super solid, but we really managed to compete because we didn't go there just to try, but today I think we really went to really compete to make something, like to make a difference in the past years that we used to go for trials and check out ourselves where we are rated. But this time I think we've really been really solid in the peloton and in all the sport that we've done.
And I rode on the time trial. I was the 5th in under 23.
The team was welcomed by Uganda Cycling Association President Muwonge Mahabba.
When you look at cycling has become more popular, and we need more funds to get more riders, and we need more equipment.
While at the Games, where 4 cyclists, including Jordan Schleck-Sekanwaji, represented, Uganda participated in the road race, criterium, and individual time trial. They took a decision to withdraw from the team time trial to allow focus on the individual time trial, in which Kajimu is a light continental champion. There were some big decisions for us to make. Glad we took them and the players accepted. But for any chances of a repeat performance at future games, the call is for more funding.
I would like to appeal to the government to give us a full team so that we can do better next time.
Kajimu, who as per the new sports law is entitled to a 5 million Uganda shillings monthly pay will in the interim rest before heading to his Kenya camp in readiness for July's Olympics in France.
Cricket now, and the cricket cranes barely broke a sweat as they marched to a 121-run win against hosts Ghana in their second group game. In the game played last evening at the Achimota B Oval, Uganda won the toss and elected to bat first, posting 194/5 in their 20 overs. In the second innings, there was no getting out of the blocks for Ghana, as the side posted 73 runs all out inside 16 overs, giving Uganda a 121-run win. Now the win puts Uganda on top of Group A with 2 wins and with 1 game to play against South Africa, and that will be tomorrow, March the 20th. In rugby, the Rugby Sevens inaugural appearance at the African Games kicked off with a high with 2 wins. Now, the Sevens played their games at the University of Ghana Rugby Stadium, starting with Zimbabwe, whom they defeated 14-0. Adrian Casito, who scored the first try of the match deep in the second half from a turnover earned by captain Ian Munyani. Philip Wokorach converted easily in front of the uprights, and Uganda got another try in the last play through Philip Wokorach. Timothy Kisiga converted for Uganda to take a 14-0 victory. In their second game against Tunisia, Uganda scored 4 tries in the first half through Adrian Casito, Philip Wokorach and Aaron Ofoiroth. Wokorach converted 3 for Uganda to take a 26-0 lead into the halftime. Now Uganda maintained the momentum in the second half, and they added another 4 tries by Timothy Kisiga, Norbert Okenyi and Desire Ayera. Kasiga converted 1 try, and the full-time whistle was blown when Uganda had reached the half-century mark of unanswered points. After day 1's matches, Uganda is top of the standings in the men's competition, and they will play against Burkina Faso and Ghana on day 2. And that story brings us to the end of this edition. Thank you so much for having kept us company. On sign language, it has been Elizabeth Nakakoni, and I am Rukidi Edward Kiijanangoma, wishing you a blessed night.
It is this time of the day when we bring you the latest weather forecast from Uganda National Meteorological Authority. My name is Juliet Nanteza. Bright and sunny conditions prevailed in most areas. When we take a look at the satellite imagery today, it shows that we still have a low pressure center on the tip of South Africa and then in the Indian Ocean that is sucking all the moisture, leaving us with clear skies, together with the dry and hot winds blowing from Arabian Ridge towards our country. In the morning, Central, we expect to wake up with thunder showers, that is for Kampala, Masaka, and Mubende. Elsewhere, we expect to wake up with sunny intervals. Eastern, we expect to wake up with sunny intervals in most areas. The western stretch, we expect to wake up with thunder showers in Kasese towards Masindi. The rest, we expect to wake up with sunny intervals. In the north, we expect to wake up with sunny intervals in most areas, apart from Arua, where we expect light showers. Later on in the afternoon, temperatures are expected to rise to 31, that is for Central. Eastern, we expect a maximum of 33 in Soroti. Jinja and Toro, we expect a maximum of 31 with sunny intervals. Western, we expect a maximum of 31 for Kasese with thunder showers. Masindi, we expect a maximum of 33. And Kabale Highlands, we expect a maximum of 24. In the north, we expect a maximum of 33 in most areas with sunny intervals. For these rising temperatures, we advise you to take a lot of water to hydrate yourself and put on light clothes. For world cities, we expect Dubai to be with sunny intervals at a maximum of 32. Nairobi, we expect a maximum of 27 with sunny intervals. Cairo, we expect sunny conditions at a maximum of 25. And London, we expect a maximum of only 16 with cloudy conditions. That's all we had for you from Uganda National Meteorological Authority. Tune in tomorrow, same time. Have a blessed night.